This is the all-new generation of the Range Rover Evoque. It has slimmer headlamps right there. Also interesting how the LED daytime running signature is styled. Looks really textile, really modern. You can also get now those LED lamps, of course. Those are, by the way, standard now. Standard now LED also from the lower trims. That's pretty cool. Also a more integrated front grille. Everything is sleek, looks streamlined. This one's so-called first edition, so it also has some copper elements right there. And also with a special bumper, for example, in the lower part. The length is at 4.33 meters, 172 inches or 14'3". And so the length has not been touched that much. There has been a slight increase in the wheelbase, and if that one has any effect on the inside, we'll see later. So this one here is the so-called R Dynamic line. So we have a small badge right there. 21-inch rims is the maximum available. Looks pretty massive, of course. It starts with 17-inch rims. You can see the high belt line and the small roof shape, small roof line, low right here as well. This one is the basic shape of the Evoque, and that has also remained the same. Here with interesting copper accentuations. I think that's a very daring design element, but you know, why not going two-tone? Also here again with this black contrast roof, you can go for. This adds some more dramatic to it. Those door handles here, by the way, they flip out. It's like with the Velar, and then you can open the door and they go in again when you drive, or for example when you close the car. The ground clearance, by the way, is at 21 centimeters right there, which is in this segment actually a quite notable one. And we can see in the rear it has those newly designed tail lamps. They are definitely slimmer again and also have a new LED signature. Overall, you see this one horizontal line. The whole car looks even more horizontal. Then also with the sporty diffuser, there will of course be different trims available. This again here with this first edition, where you have some copper elements. But it stays basically true to its original design. From the exterior, definitely rather an evolution than a revolution.
So as engines, there will be a 2-liter diesel with 150 horsepower front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, 180 horsepower all-wheel drive or 240 horsepower all-wheel drive. And then as petrol engines, there's a 2-liter turbo engine with 250 horsepower or 300 horsepower.
And on the technology side, they want to solve the consumption problem, because especially the petrol engines so far had too high consumption in the previous generation. Now, as soon as you go for an automatic gearbox, you will also receive a mild hybrid system for your engine with 48-volt board net. This is then supposed to boost the sailing or coasting function and also recuperate some energy to bring the consumption down. Also, there will be a so-called driveline disconnect. That means that all the rear parts of the all-wheel drive are decoupled as soon as the rear torque is not being needed. So this front plus rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, it was there before, but now it works in a way that the rear parts do not consume any fuel because they are then not spinning when they are not needed.
I'm 1.86 or 6'1", and that leaves me some headroom here left. There is the panoramic roof inbuilt, but that should not affect the headroom if you go for it or if you don't go for it, because it's a fixed one. It cannot be opened, but it goes all over the car as a panoramic roof, just with the shade open and back. So got the seat in the lowest position. So tall people get along here, but you know, yeah, you have to get used somewhere to get a room for your feet if they are too long. And again, the main theme is it's not an open, free look SUV, so that's different, for example, in the the big Discovery or then the Discovery Sport. Again, the Evoque more follows the Range Rover line, where it wants to also show you a sportier interior. A 10-inch right there, widescreen format. But you see, it's basically split here in the lower part. You have, for example, the climate unit. So a little bit like Audi does it now in their big cars. You have the climate unit in the lower part right there. And then when you press it, you can also change the functions when the car is running. So seat can be also reached by that when you have the seat heating, for example. But the car has to be on, everything is fully powered for that. You can see the steering wheel also comes a little bit towards you. It's really a small Velar, look at that. Everything looks like in the Velar. And so when you sit in the front, you could be just sitting in the Velar, but you sit a little bit lower. So in the Velar, you definitely sit more upright. And a classic shifting lever right there, as well as some room here under the middle console. That is possible. And then this top part here, I mean, not such a fan of this rubber pad. You can just remove it like this. Then we have some cup holders, but they're also adaptive somewhat. And under the armrest, it's a split armrest, and then there are two USB supplies as well as a 12-volt power supply. Here the digital instruments, we basically know them also from other Jaguar Land Rover models. The good thing is that when you have a map routed, that you can have the GPS in the middle part. That makes it more flexible. And the head-up display, for example, with allowed speed and current speed, and it will also show some GPS commands. On the steering wheel, those are not real buttons, so to say. They are basically seamlessly integrated, like here, and then you can turn up the volume or turn it down again, or for example pick up the phone. And the right side is for heated steering wheel, or for example also for the cruise control. Finally, they also offer Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support, so they switched over from their just in-control apps way. That's good that they finally offer that. Also some cameras are being offered. Some guys there here at the dealers here. So the rear view camera is standard, by the way, now. So it does come with some equipment already for that 37,000 euros start price. At least that's the one in Germany, for example. Let's take a look at the GPS as well. We know it already from some GLR models. It's, improved a little bit in the responsiveness. Looks also quite good as for the visualization. Meanwhile, the routes, when you have it entered, somehow I had some problems here and there, but overall I think it's a quite well usable system now. And as I said, it's the most important that they finally offer now also the CarPlay and Android Auto integration. That's pretty cool. And the resolution overall also looks pretty nice. One more look here at the lower screen, where on the right side you can check the vents, for example, and when you press it, you can check the temperature. Now we can also control it. The car is properly powered again. In the lower part here, for example, on the left side, you can also switch things, for example, control the driving modes. And when you click them again, you get to the off-road driving modes, always with a nice visualization. So you have a lot of controls that are basically on the same button, but you always have to know what you're doing. The wheelbase has been improved a little bit, and indeed you can feel and see that with the legroom. Well, the rear bench is falling down a little bit from the angle, but you can see I'm positively surprised that there's still actually a lot of legroom left, also if you compare it to the previous generation. I can still sit here as a tall person, even though when the roof would be closed, the cover of the roof, I have to say. Again, this panoramic roof, it looks great to look outside, but you cannot open it. You can surely argue for and against it. Although I have some more legroom here now, it's not the most comfortable position because, as I said, it's a little bit leaned back as for the angle. But it surely works to drive in it with 4 tall adults. 610 liters is the basic setup. You see here, it's quite square dimensions. If I take measurements for the length, it's about 82 centimeters in length. Of course, the car is not too long at all. And it's just over 1 meters in width right there. We cannot flip the seats from here, but we have to go around and then flip them to reach the maximum capacity of 1,430 liters. You can see here it's a 1/3 2/3 split. Well, they said they basically changed every part
except for like 1 or 2 or something. From the exterior, it's rather an evolution for sure, and it looks like a small Range Rover Velar. The same also accounts a little bit for the interior, just that you have, of course, a little bit less room and you sit more upright, sit more lower. So it is already an SUV, but you don't have a super high SUV seating position. What is good that you now have more legroom in the rear compartment. And also from the styling here, it looks pretty cool, pretty clean, and also again like a small Velar, also with the new infotainment, now finally with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support, and also promised over-the-air updates, for example. The build quality, we've seen a lot of great materials, and it's really awesome that they offer a lot of fabric seating choices, so you have great style, great choices, even in the higher trims, if you don't want to go for an animal skin surface. Even Jaguar Land Rover CEO Ralf Späth really said they want to go in this direction, and it's very important to them. And I think when the CEO tells you something like that, that's also something already. Not shown here today, but we'll surely catch up to that one later when we show different seating choices, maybe at the driving event, for example. Some parts, of course, where you maybe say there can be some improvement, where you have some levers for plastic stuff, but it always depends. And this is one of the first prototype vehicles. We'll see out how that one plays then with the driving review, when there's also a car that is more from series production. But especially they paid attention to a lot of surface which you can see and touch, and those one look actually quite good. Also with the luggage compartment in the rear, I think you can be quite happy. Starting prices will be, as said, in Germany about 37,000 euros and about 31,000 pounds in the UK. But of course you can top it up and almost double the price if you spec everything in this vehicle and also go for a bigger engine. Especially looking forward to drive the new mild hybrid engine, because one of the flaws of this vehicle was it has a very high consumption so far in the previous generation. We'll also test it at the driving event if that one went lower now.